Good evening, everyone. We are without co-pilot for a little bit, so I'm flying solo right now, which is a little disorienting, but I think workable. Really happy to see those of you who have your faces showing, more the merrier. I actually just finished leading a retreat and my little bowl is in the car. So I'm going to use the virtual version, but I have to pull it up on the phone. Okay, at least I have it. It works. So Mary will be with us in about a half hour, but meanwhile, she will often keep her radar out for those of you who may have said hello and did not mute yourself, but I will do it on a, hopefully you will, as you say hello this evening to each other, maybe say where you're calling in from, maybe also make sure that you mute yourself after, okay? Anyway, hi from Sausalito. Happy to see you.
Hi from San Francisco.
Hey, Stephanie.
Hey, Howie.
Hi from Maryland.
Hey, Laura.
Barbara from Evanston, Illinois.
Hey, Barbara.
Yes, so glad to see you again.
Glad to see you as well.
Hello, Mark from San Francisco. Hi,
Hey,
everybody.
Mark.
Hi from Alameda,
Who's calling from Alameda? I'm not.
Jane.
Oh, hi, Jane.
Hi,
See you.
thank you.
Hi from Seattle.
Hey, Brooke.
Hey,
From
Seattle.
Hello. From Los Angeles.
Hi, Eric.
Hey.
I'm Robin from the Seattle area,
Where's Robin?
right here.
There you are. Hi, Robin. Welcome.
Thank you.
Gladys from Regina.
Oh, hey, Gladys. I'm looking for you on the screen.
I'm right above you on mine.
Anyway, happy that you're with us as always.
Hi, Carol
Hey.
from Danville.
Heard somebody from Danville, but I don't see you.
Carol.
Oh, Carol, great to see you.
Michael from Edmonton. Hello.
Hey, Michael.
Katie from San Francisco.
Hi, Katie.
David.
Jill from Regina.
All right, Jill. And I hear David from the peninsula.
There's Roxy, the cat.
Hey, Sabina and Roxy.
Hi.
Hello from Petaluma.
Hi,
Okay.
Angela. Great to see you. And Mary says something about, she has something in the chat. No. Well, come whenever you can. I can't unmute the or unvideo. Not sure what to do about that, Mary. I could probably unmute for you.
Hi,
Oh,
Keith
that's
from
right.
Berkeley.
Hi, Keith. Welcome. It turns out that I do not have management facility tonight, so I can't mute or unmute anyone. So it's all up to you. But this will be remedied in a half hour or so. Meanwhile, we're here to practice, but of course, it's always lovely to hear your voices, to see you, to know the lifting effect of coming together and practicing, and knowing that our, at least for me, and I imagine for some of you, your deepest values are reflected back as valued. Sometimes we don't get mirrored in a way for that which we value so much about life and about ourselves. about the world. So to have it reflected back with other like-minded friends, and I don't mean true believers, I mean those who are interested in discovering life in a direct way, direct experience. As I often mention, that we know so much about ourselves and our histories, and that's a beautiful thing, but we don't know ourselves directly so well. And in not knowing ourselves directly, we deprive ourselves of a deep sense of quiet, the deep riches of immediacy, the aliveness of felt experience of our nature, not filtered through the ideas of ourselves, not filtered through our memory, at least in moments. And our practice allows us to see what we actually experience on present evidence really directly. And the teachings are filled with pointers to what that experience is like, but nothing, no words could ever capture what your immediate and direct experience is. So I invite everyone tonight to marinate, to soak up your own immediate and direct experience. And please mute your device if you notice that it's unmuted. David H., I think are you muted? You're muted, okay, good. So to honor Madison tonight, who is not actually with us, I will hit a gong to start the sitting. Okay. So as we settle in tonight, it's always nice to appreciate that we made it here. The past has passed once and for all. Only appears here as memories. We invite them to visit. And if you're aware of having found yourself here in real time, you'll notice that the future is nowhere to be found except as a fantasy, a worrying thought, a plan. You can welcome future thoughts when they come without extending them. But what seems most helpful to heal our minds and heal our bodies is to let our attention, perhaps you should also become aware that you are aware. Just know that you're aware right now. It's a useful thing to notice. And that being aware itself is very quiet. It just knows. and it doesn't react. So if you're aware, the non-reactive mind is being nurtured. Once you know that you're here and aware, what heals us is to have our mind intimately connected to, very close to, cozied up to our bodies. So much of our stress comes from being disembodied. So we will remind ourselves to keep our mind in our body, and our body in our mind tonight. But without turning it into the body and mind project, but just resting, relaxing into that feeling of sitting and breathing. And letting your mind be relaxed and soft, releasing any strain to make anything happen, that's greed in the mind. Releasing any resistance to just being aware. It's aversion in the mind. If greed or aversion shows up, welcome them, but don't extend them. Mostly just rest in being aware, supported by this tuning instrument called our body. It connects us to a living reality, a direct experience. Once you're here, you notice that your body begins to settle and still, because it's being met with a kind attention and an interested attention and a relaxed attention with no agenda other than to just receive a feeling of the body sitting. Receive the form and the shape and the vibration and the pulse of the sitting body. And receive the sensations that come when the body breathes. And receive the body's experience of its own breath with kind attention. Interested and relaxed. Without hurry, without strain. Just being aware and not letting your mind stray away from your body. Intentionally, anyway. Welcome the sounds when they come. Hearing the sound of the radiator now. Welcome the moods. Sad, happy, agitated, free, easeful, angry, worried. Welcome these states of the heart and mind if they come. But don't extend them, don't think about them intentionally. Stay aware. relaxed, kind. Just this moment. Just this body, just this breath as our primary support. The point of our practice is always arrived at now. There's no higher mountain to climb. Settle back. Be aware. When you realize you've gotten wound up in something, lost in thought, activated by thoughts, as soon as you become aware, relax. Appreciate that you are now aware and you can put your mind very gently, lovingly back in your body, and your body back in your mind. Really luxuriating in the simple experience of being aware with that relaxed and interested and kind attention. Being aware, supported by the body and breath. And then graciously, impartially receiving each experience. Just be aware. You don't even need to meditate. Just be aware. Don't need to be a meditator. Just be aware. These for me, very beautiful sitting with you. Mary, welcome. So relieved that you're back. I was lost, disoriented without you.
Oh, so sorry.
No problem. I accidentally hit the electronic gong 2 minutes early, but here we are. And it's often a very interesting time of practice after the gong strikes, where there may be a slight cessation or falling away of any doing. And you may notice the natural state of your mind when you're not trying. And it's highly likely that your mind, when you're not trying, that natural state is peaceful. And usually that's slightly because your usual secondhand version of yourself is a little quieter. The story of yourself is a little quieter. And you're maybe a little bit more in touch with the firsthand view, the direct experience of yourself. And to me, that's good news. To me, Tuesday night is about the good news. Just to counter the so much difficult news in our lives, but also to give us a ground to meet the difficult news and know that there is, in the midst of, as Albert Camus said, in the midst of winter, there, I realized that there was within me an invincible summer. There's a steadiness, there's a quiet, there's a relaxation that is at the root of our nature when we just let ourselves be. We stop trying so hard for a moment. Because usually when we're trying hard, there's one of the poisons, what the Buddha called the causes of suffering, the three poisons that cause stress in our lives are showing up. And sometimes they're noticed and then it's totally workable. But when they go unnoticed, either they filter our experience or they're just slightly vague in our attention. They cause us to feel tense. And that is that little tendency in our mind to want to make something happen. That's greed. That little tendency of our mind to resist what it is that's going on. That's aversion. It's the second poison. Often there's a little subtle narrative going on, a little story going on in our mind. And when we're caught in that story, that's delusion. We're mistaking that story of ourselves for ourselves. Of course, when we know that the thinking mind is thinking, there's almost an instantaneous return to, at least in the direction of peace. There may be the fragrance of wherever we had been absorbed. I think I asked you if when you realize you've been absorbed in something, hooked in something, captured by something, triggered by something. Usually means that there's been a little dreamscape and mindfulness hasn't risen up to notice that as it's happening until it does. And then when it does, there's often some tension that has built up. And then as we notice that and we use the tension, we use the feeling, we use the anxiety, we use the fear, we use whatever is the residue of that particular imaginary world that our mind has been dwelling in. As we feel it and the impact of it, those feelings bring us back to that natural peace, that kind of intrinsic, relaxed state of being as we are. So that's why anything that can be noticed, anything that comes into your mind is okay. Anything that can happen at any of our senses, they are all equal in that they can wake us up to where we are. The good news is also about the things that wake us up to where we are. Those very things also, if we study them a little bit, not in a strained way, not with grasping, I've got to learn something, but more just notice the things that we are aware of, even the difficult things. If we really pay attention to them, what do we find? They become our gurus in a way. Every experience that is met with attention shows itself to be changing. Selfless in that it just comes and goes by itself, and it shows itself not to be a reliable place to stay. No experience is a reliable place to stay. And maybe that's most important with the really pleasant ones. But the unpleasant ones, that's really good news. They don't last that long. If you see their nature. That's why the central part of one of the central awakening factors, or otherwise known as the Bojangas, the factors of enlightenment, is investigation. Investigation isn't thinking about what's going on. That's called reflecting or analyzing or interpreting. Investigation is seeing what happens to the thing that we're noticing or the thing that was just happening. Where is it now? So we notice the presence of things, we notice the absence of things. Don't make much more out of it than that. But it's good news in that we're not stuck anywhere. And if we think we're stuck and we're in that story of being stuck, and many of us from time to time think, oh, I'm really stuck in my life. Where do we find that on present evidence? Where is stuck now? Where is stuck? What is stuck like? Where is it when it goes beyond that story, just to the experience of stuck? But if that experience of stuck, is my life defined by that? Is that who I am or what I am right now? That's a story. Speaking of stories, I'm going to let myself roll for a little bit, if you don't mind, and then we'll check in a little bit later. Today, it's just a blessed day for me. I ended a 5-day retreat, the annual winter retreat at Spirit Rock that I've been doing for as long as I can remember, led with a couple wonderful teachers, Leslie Booker and Leela Kate Wheeler, one of my oldest Dharma friends. She was one of the leaders of the last teacher training at Spirit Rock, and she lives on the East Coast. So it's great to be able to hang out with her. And a yoga teacher named Teresa Todorov, who was just bright light, loves the Dharma, incredible presence to have at the retreat. So all that was great. And once again, what gives me so much confidence in the practice and the teachings is that people, given some conditions where at least there's less to do than usual, quiet place, beautiful place, people begin to recognize that natural peace, get used to it, and it gets a little more stable. And all manner of healing happens. The body just relaxes. It kind of unbinds, unwinds. And that's a real blessing and a real privilege to be able to be on retreat. It takes some days for the body to release. And it's why it needs to release is because it's not anything. I mean, there are obviously external things that bind us, but it's mostly we're not attending to our mind as much in our daily life. We get moving too fast to notice. And once we get moving too fast to notice, then our mind makes up all kinds of conditions for peace. It says, I can't have peace until I finish this, till I go there, till I have this, till I buy this, till I get rid of this, till I yell at this person, or till I, whatever it is, conditions get put on the sense of peace. And once we get really wound up in that world, the sense of peace being natural to us, it's just a pipe dream. It's like an idea. And then all of a sudden people just hanging out a little bit, not doing too much other than just paying attention to each, as the Buddha recommended, to each presently arising experience, and putting their mind in their body and their body in their mind. Is that people they quiet down, they come back to their natural state, and the eyes get bright, hearts get so tender. It's such a beautiful thing. I know I go on about this every retreat I lead, and I hope it's okay with you. Just a reminder that there's a lot of beauty in each of us in our present life when we experience it directly and make that make truth the truth of our existence, not the truth of our historical existence. That truth is an important truth too, but if we don't have the immediate truth of our existence to balance the historical truth, which in many cases is kind of tormenting, because we all have trauma, we all have difficult stories, we all have family, transgenerational traumas, we've got all kinds of stuff. We have our religious, our educational, we have our class, we have we have so many things that are part of our historical sense of ourselves that don't necessarily leave one if you're associating only that with your nature. You may miss that there is a substratum of everything available to us when we experience our life directly that's pretty sweet. Each person. And that sweetness really starts to shine through when we relax a little bit. As the teacher Noshul Ken says, rest in natural great peace. This exhausted mind, beaten helpless by karma and neurotic thought. We're really neurotic. But don't turn neurotic into an identity. Just the beauty is you can notice being neurotic, and that neurosis is transformed into peace, to non-clinging. So that's why I said if you're remembering in present time and memories come into your mind, welcome. If neurotic thoughts come into your mind, welcome them. If planning comes into your mind, welcome it. They're all, if you stay here knowing that these things are arising and passing, they're just changing weather patterns. It's not a big deal. It's not a problem to solve. It's not something that has to be fixed. It's just something to see as it is, to experience ourselves directly. So anyway, I finished this retreat, and at the end of the retreat, as I often do, because I've ended a lot of retreats where I was the meditator, and I noticed that I had associated a lot of that peace with the atmosphere of the retreat and where I was. And it's an easy mistake that we think that it's because of the place and the time. And those conditions definitely make a difference to help us reclaim our heritage, to relearn our loveliness as that Galway Canal. Sometimes in this poem called I forgot the name, sometimes it is necessary to reteach a thing its loveliness. And I used to feel that and think, wow, this is the great thing about being on retreat, and it is. But then, like everyone, I used to have the thought would come, because I still wasn't so attuned to this level of thought. I was just incarnating in those thoughts, and they would, in a subtle way, torment me. And what was the thought? I'm going home. And that little thought, I am going home, and you can take it, you can superimpose whatever your thought. I have to do this tomorrow. I have this to-do list. I have to talk to this person. But we'll just take my thought, I'm going home. And what happens for people when they're going home from a retreat, it's very conventionally true. They're not at the retreat anymore. They're going home. That's the conventional view of what's happening. Now, really, while they're at the retreat, that's just a thought. Nothing really happened. Nothing happened at all except the thought, I'm going home. But with that thought came other thoughts. The thought of, oh, that unfinished business of my life. Oh, all those things that I will have to deal with when I go home. Again, nothing's happened except some thoughts have entered into the mind. And those thoughts that have entered into the mind include at the center of them the view, not myself as I am, but the idea of myself, the me who is going home. And nothing's happened. Nobody's really gone anywhere, but that little story of me has come into the mind, and I'm going home, and I'm little by this time. I'm small. I'm that little voice in the mind. I'm going home, and home in that little thought bubble seems like a really big place, big, scary place with a lot of things. And maybe sometimes there's some excitement too to go home. But more often than not, the idea of going home from this precious natural peace to whatever to-do list, and all of a sudden people are anxious. Do you do this in your daily life? About tomorrow, about wherever you're going? We do this. Nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened except a thought bubble. Still exactly where that person was. I'm exactly where I am. You are exactly where you are. But the mind has created a picture of something that, because it hasn't happened yet, it causes some anxiety. And so on every retreat, because I kept having this experience myself, I started to get wise to what my mind was doing. That was a good sign. That was a helpful thing to notice. Oh, thinking about the future, projecting the future, projecting this image of myself that's going in time. That this is a thought of myself is not myself. It's a thought, it's a story. So that's the first good news. The second part is, even though that's a true conventional story, eventually I am going home and this and that, the ultimate truth is that I never go home. I was never anywhere else and I'm never going home. I'm always home, right where I am. I'm always right here. I only imagine that I'm going home. And even when I pack my bag, I'm right where I am. Even when I get in my car, I'm right where I am. Even when I'm driving, I'm right where I am. Even when I'm hurling through space at 650 miles per hour, or whatever it is, I'm right where I am. My home shows up, but I'm always right where I am. And so in truth, I never really have to leave this peace that is my natural state. This relaxed state of being present. Because when I realize I never go anywhere, then I also realize that this is just an unfolding, that the whole thing of going and coming is really just unfolding present moments. Last present moment gone, next one unborn. This one's the only one I can handle ever. And even if I have to plan in this moment, it's just planning, mind planning. If I have to remember something, remembering, mind remembering. All happens here, all happens right now. I never go anywhere. Nothing ever happens really, except 6 experiences: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking. All functional, useful, all the things that you have to do to work and live and relate. It all happens right here. And once I started realizing that I don't have to integrate my little practice into my big, scary life, that was just a dream that was scaring me and making me nervous, then I realized I can reframe this to I'm going to integrate whatever shows up into my practice, which is right where I am. Have I lost you yet? I find it just incredibly relieving and helps me return to a relaxed state, no matter what I have to deal with in my life. I was a bit challenged on the retreat because toward the end, because I was definitely feeling the beautiful quiet and the effect of it, and getting it, looking out into the meditation hall. And in fact, looking at you after the sitting, it is like getting a little blessing. Everybody's a little bit more calm and a little more present. But when you get a whole hall full of people that are having what we call a vipassana facelift, their eyes are getting really bright, just so beautiful. I was really settling in, but I also started to have the thought, I've agreed to officiate an empower a teacher authorization for someone right as an hour after the retreat ends. And I had participated in one of those teacher authorizations, but I'd never actually led one myself. And so I had to do some planning. And I noticed my mind start to create little me doing this big new thing. And I started to get a little anxious, a little bit keyed up. And then I realized, okay, I'm just one moment I thought I would take my own medicine. I'm not going anywhere. I've just got to take care of whatever the nuts and bolts, the causes that will make this possible. And it's possible no matter how big a job you have or how new and different it is, even though it's somewhat natural to feel any kind of uncertainty triggers a little bit of worry or anxiety. It's possible to do those things with minimal worry and just know that you'll do the best you can and you do it a moment at a time. It's okay to relax. And I don't have to wait till it's over to relax. So many times in my life, or so many times in our life, we wait to relax. We build these conditions in our mind. I won't be able to relax until this is over. Not knowing that everything is over in each moment. It's over. Whatever it is, it's over. And whatever hasn't happened, it just hasn't happened. I can deal with it. So can you. So why did I talk about that tonight? It's because I think really why I talked about it tonight is that we've lost in our culture, in our minds, with so many things that are impinging on our consciousness, so many things that are hard to bear, we've lost the understanding that our life is just an unfolding now. We've lost the confidence that we can relax, that we need to relax now. That even in the midst of all the world of stress, that there is a place in us that is safe and protected and in some ways secluded because it's always available no matter what the conditions are. We tend to lose that, and we've lost in our culture reminders of just easy ways of living that remind us that it's okay to relax. I'm inspired a lot about this because my wife Annie shared a little snippet. She's filled with amazing snippets about the world. It's also true about my friend Leela, who I taught the retreat with. Well, Annie, the snippet that she came to me with tonight is in the 1950s, most houses, up until then, most houses were built with porches. Maybe some of you heard this. They were built with porches, and people sat on their porch. They sat on their rocking chairs, said hello to their neighbors, and there was a style of living that expressed that natural urge in us just to relax. And the architects said, this is just the way it was passed on to me, in the 1950s, there was some view that this porch culture, it looked a little bit lazy and unproductive. So architects started designing houses without porches. All the old houses in Sausalito where I live, even all those Sears houses that were $7,000, these beautiful little they're package houses. They all had porches on them. They're so sweet, and occasionally you still see people on their porches, but not much. So the culture of saying hello, to having our hearts gladdened in the present moment is in ways that are so useful or so natural. We've lost them. So we have to go to meditation retreats, and even though there are other reasons why we go to meditation retreats. We have to practice, but we have to in some ways learn how we're thinking that makes us anxious, that makes us tense, and how we're paying attention to things in our life that make us tense, and relax a little bit. As Dana Fald says, settle in the here and now. Reach down into the center where the world's not spinning and drink this holy peace. Now, this sounds like meditation instructions, but this is completely portable. How long does it take? Really? Feel relief flood into every cell. Nothing to do, nothing to be what you are already. Nothing to receive but what flows effortless from the mystery into form. Just what flows into your consciousness, into your body right now. And your mind may say, but I have to do something. It's just but. It's just a word, but. My teacher in India used to say, no buts. Because once the word but comes into our mind, we're off in a new train of conditions for our happiness. No buts. Nothing to run from or run toward. Just this breath. Awareness knowing itself as embodiment. So one of the ways that we can really protect this natural peace and ease is creating our own moment-to-moment rocking chair, which is our own body. Turn your body into a rocking chair and just rock. Just be settled. Let your mind settle in your body. I think that's a big thing that keeps us from feeling, let me put it this way, keeps us from feeling that we want to be here. I often tell people who I talk to about meditation that, or I pray for people who meditate, or anybody who wants to listen, that your real-time experience, not your historical one, because you can't do much about that anyway, other than reflect on it, make peace with it, but that your real-time experience of rocking in your body, or breathing, or eating, or thinking, even knowing that you're thinking, or hearing or smelling, even when it's unpleasant, that at least you're here settled enough that it becomes compelling enough, interesting enough, that you stop wanting to be somewhere else. And it seems that what I found is the only way that it becomes compelling enough is if my mind and body are in a little bit more harmony. If I actually feel okay in the body, even if I have issues in the body, if I can just receive it a little bit, if I can just know that the stabilizing impact of being embodied. So this is why Ajahn Chah, I'm pretty sure this is why Ajahn Chah, the great forest master, Jack Cornfield's teacher for many monastics, Ajahn Sumedho, one of my teachers, Ajahn Chah would repeat over and over in many forms, don't let your mind leave your body. Don't let your mind leave your body. Don't let your mind leave your body. Just a mantra. So that's one thing that makes the present more compelling. Obviously, the other things that make being present more compelling is cultivating the wholesome. Cultivating the wholesome, which means being generous, the joy, the delight that comes from giving, serving, supporting, listening, the happiness, the well-being that comes from, I'm going to stop here, digress here. I hope all of you can hear this talk. We did a 3-part talk last night at this retreat, and I hope it's going to be open to the public, but my friend Leela gave a whole talk on wise speech. And one of the vignettes that I'll just tell you about, I can repeat because is the happiness that comes from the simple practice of acknowledging another person or a certain grace in saying hello and goodbye. So she was with her husband, who was doing some research in South America, in Bolivia, I think. He's a professor and writer and on the East Coast. And they had some kind of health issues that often come when traveling in foreign countries. And she went beeline, like every American does, to the pharmacy and walks right up to the pharmacist and says, "Do you have this and this and this?" And the pharmacist looked at her and said, "Hola, señora. ¿Cómo está?" Said hello. And she just bulldozed her way right into the conversation. And it was so sweet to hear somebody who was just settled back saying, "Hello, how are you?" Hola. We could just say hello to each other. I love that we do that on Tuesday night. We say hello. It makes us be happy. It makes us happy to be here. I didn't do that because of that. Did it because I love all of you. But it does make us happy. It makes us want to be here and not want to be somewhere else, at least sometimes. So kindness with our speech, graciousness, kindness with our actions, just kindness in general, having a mind that's inclining toward goodwill. The things that the 3 kinds of what the Buddha called meritorious actions, things that always make the world a better place and make you a better environment to live with yourself. Kindness, harmlessness, just virtue, not killing, not stealing, respecting other bodies, all bodies, not clouding your consciousness too much with too much news. As important as it is for us to keep vigil on the world right now, as a kind of a responsible citizen, it's still, it can become a kind of intoxicant that clouds our perception and leads us to be frustrated and angry all the time. We have to balance that with putting aside our intoxicants, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is or whatever we use to distract ourselves. And then finally, just letting the natural generosity of our spirit. Generosity is one of those meritorious actions, wherever we can be generous. It brings a feeling you don't want to be somewhere else except in that joy of giving. Joy of watching someone else experience the effect of your giving. So we have access to the things that will support us to relax. And it's both our actions, the way we incline our mind, and also learning to recognize the peace that's always and already there. So we have to slow down a little bit and sit on our porches and our rocking chairs and let Pablo Neruda remind us to keep quiet. He says, "Now we'll count to 12. and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak any language. Let's stop for a second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment, without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and a man gathering salt would not look at his hurt hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victories with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it's about. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving, and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Perhaps the earth in us can teach us, as when everything seems to be dead in winter and later proves to be alive. Now I'll count to 12, and you keep quiet, and I will go. Thanks for listening. So if you don't mind sticking around for a few minutes, and Mary has some very important announcements tonight, especially about Saturday.
Yes, I was going to say that's for those of you who've been waiting for another online retreat. We have one this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific time. And it's called Beginning Again, meditating together to start the new year, or meditate together to start the new year. And what a cozy thing to do on a cold January day, gather together, practice. So if you haven't done an online retreat, it's amazing the level of intimacy and quiet that we can really achieve in that forum. So please do register, and hopefully I will see you Saturday. And then Howie already sort of gave the Donna talk. A generous mind is a peaceful mind. It's a happy mind. So if you wish to cultivate this peaceful, happy mind, generosity is a good way to do it. And you can do that by offering Donna to support Mission Dharma, to support Howie. The means are here in the chat, or you probably know by now. And then finally, Mission Dharma is still looking for, if you want to offer Donna in a different way, we are looking for volunteers. Most pressing need is someone to update the website and someone to join the team to do this. So email us at sf.mission.dharma@gmail.com. Did I miss anything, Howie?
Nope. Thank you in advance for all your support, and always thank you, Mary, for all your years of